recording. Welcome. This is Shereen Noon, and I'm here with Kristin Kurtz of Longevity and Wellness. I'm with Focus, Believe, Heal, and we welcome you to our conversation. And today we're going to discuss the difference between prevention and reaction, and what it takes to take that first good step towards taking care of yourself, and what happens when you don't. So welcome, Kristin. Thank you for talking with me today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation, Shereen. It's lots of fun.
So I wanted to start off asking you, with your clients, you run into a lot of people who are looking to take that first step and kind of on the edge of, well, I'm not doing that bad right now, so why do I need to spend a lot of money on nutrition or exercise or whatever? Or just even taking that first step of, taking a half-hour walk every day or something simple, drinking more water. What do you run into in what the difference is between prevention and reaction?
Well, most people do react to something. It takes a lot of momentum and inspiration to change something that they don't perceive as broken. So it's often a diagnosis, an unwelcome diagnosis, or some physical symptom that's shown up that gets their attention. And then they decide they want to make that change. And even then, it's tricky because I get and I love this phrase, I can't remember the name of the coach, but he said that people go through this process. It's a yes, yes, hell no. So yes, on a rational level, it makes sense to take this first step, to do this behavior change or change something. Yes, on a gut level, an intuitive level, it makes sense. But hell no, the ego or whatever part that resists the change, it comes back and slams the door shut. So that happens until it doesn't, until either somebody is really, really suffering or something inspires them. Their why becomes bigger than their why not. I mean, it's a compelling reason to make that shift.
What seems to be a lot of whys that you hear from people, like why they do want to start moving forward, taking better care?
Yeah, it's usually not always about themselves. It's usually about somebody that they really care for, like a child, their children, or their grandchildren, or a spouse, or somebody significant in their lives that they want to make that change for. So a lot of people are inspired by other people. That becomes their big why, or wanting to be around so that they can be with those other people, because ultimately it's for them, of course.
Is it like, do you find a lot of people thinking, my child just had a child and I want to be there for my grandchildren?
Yeah, that would be a great example. I remember one woman who thought she wanted to get healthy, but her real reason is so she could spend more time with her partner, who was a motorcycle rider. And she was not healthy enough to get on the back of a motorcycle with him. So she was missing out on this opportunity to connect. So it's a lot of different reasons.
Wow. And we don't, until we actually dig for them, we don't know what our why is. Until we ask ourselves, what is it going to take? But do you think it happens more naturally, or if somebody asks us questions of thinking about it?
Well, I think our roles as coaches, wellness coaches, are to dig a little bit and to get to that deeper why, because even if the person takes the next step, it may not stick unless they're connected to their deeper reasons for doing it, their core why, their core values. So it's an important part of the coaching process. If somebody doesn't come in with a clear reason, they might come in with a should. I should do this. My doctor told me to do this. My spouse told me to do this. I read that I should do this. But their reason, their personal reason, is very individual and unique to them. And that's what keeps them going when things get tough.
And what are the benefits of doing even one small good step towards prevention? Like what are the results in the difference between whether you do two steps to be in prevention, or just wait till you react to something?
Well, once you're reacting to something, it's been there for some time, and that's a bigger ship to turn, so to speak. So catching things in the earlier stages is always an easier process. And so what the intention is always to create a momentum in a healthier direction, or a direction towards more wholeness. So again, prevention for some people, it just means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But the earlier you start, the stronger the momentum in a positive direction. So one step is literally, it takes one step in that direction to begin the process.
Right. And before, the step before that is, when we, people can say, like I had cancer and I thought, oh, it just fell on my head and I don't know where it came from and I have no control over it. So it doesn't work like that. It isn't out of the blue. It is from chronic thinking, chronic behavior, chronic lack of nutrition or whatever. Mm-hmm. So the getting into, our bodies are talking to us all the time. Mm-hmm. And people don't want to listen to their bodies. People want to, I think it's just easier to ignore what your body is telling you. But I think we all have warning signs. We all have little messages that, oh yeah, I really, really, really want to exercise, 3 to 4 days a week. And after a while, it becomes like a nagging message. Mm-hmm. And then a guilting message. So how do we listen to our bodies? How do we get in better communication with our bodies?
Well, there's lots of different approaches, but you said a couple things that I want to connect with first. And you talked about when you were diagnosed with cancer, how it kind of just, at least your first reaction was, this just happened to me. And that's the present, perspective of a lot of different people right now. And it's shifting though, because the research is irrefutable that stress and lifestyle contribute to disease. So as people are more open to the idea that they're creating to a vast degree, they're creating the health of their bodies, they'll pay more attention to those signals. And a real obvious one is connecting to how you experience stress, or stressful events. So being able to see the cues in your own body. Do you get tight in your stomach? Do you feel tight in your chest? Do your shoulders hunch over? Do you start to get digestive issues? Do you start sleeping poorly? What are the signs that you're under a lot of stress? And that's really a good place for some people to start, just paying attention to the cues and these are already things that are showing up in your body. Before that, there's sort of, like you said, a habit of thinking, a habit of feeling that then shows up as physical symptoms in the body. So you start with the body because that's giving you clues all the time. And then you kind of work your way backwards, understanding what your habits of thought and feeling are that are creating those stressful experiences.
Mm-hmm. Really digging around. And I heard that, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
When I did get cancer, the first time it was when I was 22, and my mom's friend gave me this book called Getting Well Again by Carl Simonton. And it was just a little book, and it was enough that I could read, even though I was exhausted from radiation and stuff. And it said that 6 to 18 months after you go through one of these stressful periods, like extreme stress, is when tumors form. What they found in studies was that's about when tumors would form and be apparent. Like you said, it doesn't have to be, the symptoms show up way later than when it actually starts. So exactly 6 months after I went through a really stressful period is when I had a tumor in my neck and chest. Wow. That, we think, oh, I'll just wait till something happens. But But you have, after you go through a stressful period, you can do a lot of things to decrease the stress hormones in your body and soothe your body and heal your body and be kind to your body and your psyche and your psychology and clear that out of your system before it forms into something.
Right, right. Well, most people are reliving that stressful event over and over and over, which the body doesn't know the difference between it happening right now and you thinking about it. It's creating that same stress response in the body. So your body then is literally a picture of the past and a projection of maybe what could happen in the future based on that past. It's not really in the present moment. And that sounds a little complicated, but you're right. It's not over processing experience, but acknowledging and feeling the feelings, and then over time subtly changing your perspective so that you're in a more renewing state as opposed to a draining, depleting, potentially disease state. So it's recognizing that our habits, our habit of thinking gets programmed in. And once that's programmed in and we repeat it enough, that's when it's harder to turn that around.
Mm-hmm.
So as a coach, we hopefully we can give people the tools to create that awareness, not only of their bodily symptoms, but then starting to become aware of their thoughts and their feelings and being able to shift those without suppressing them, without overly expressing them, but just naturally moving up that emotional scale so that they feel better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. And that is I think the most powerful step to prevention is that paying attention and that getting into how you're feeling and what you're chronically thinking and what it all mixes together: your behaviors, your nutrition, your activity, your physical activity, and to just start with, if nothing's going on in your body right now, but you do know you've gone through a lot of stress, and you do know that you have created an environment, an overly acidic environment, a very stressed environment, for something to happen, and a lot of people like to go back to genetics and stuff like that, but I don't believe in that. I believe you're creating your reality based on your choices. So you can shift anything, you can change anything at any time. You don't have to recreate your parents' or grandparents' experiences with their bodies, because that was completely a different time. And we're so far beyond that. That really is prevention, is thinking about, how do I not project bad things from my past into my present and then throwing it into my future. Mm-hmm. And now I'm just living in a constant state of fear of, oh my God, I hope I don't get sick. I hope I don't get sick, because I'm really, I haven't done anything right, or, I know I should have done this and I should have done that. But today is the most powerful day you have. The moment right now in this moment, what you continue to choose from this moment forward changes everything, and it can change in the blink of an eye.
Right. Oh, absolutely. If we really truly believed that our thoughts and emotions were creating our health and vitality, would we let negative thoughts just kind of run rampant? Would we pay a little bit more attention to how we were thinking and feeling? And so it's connecting that to a person, helping them see the connection between their general attitude, and not blaming or shaming or condemning them for it, but because those thoughts and feelings get programmed in, often at a very young age. So the brain and the body just tries to maintain homeostasis about all of this. So like I said about momentum, if you've instilled sort of a negative pattern of thinking, that draws more negative thinking, more negative experience, more negative feeling, it's kind of a negative loop. And then it's being able to, like I said, it's a process. You can't go from chronic frustration and anger or depression to bliss and happiness and joy and excitement. So you're moving up this scale. And that's I guess a whole other long conversation we can have about how that happens, how we do rewire our brain, how we do change our physiology. But that's the fun journey, and it's exciting in some ways. It was probably a shock at first for you to first feel like, wow, this cancer happened to me, and then start opening the door to the possibility that you were partially responsible. And I don't ever say wholly, because a lot of this is happening unconsciously, and there is a very, very small percentage of it that has to do with our genetic makeup. But what was that shift like for you from being more a victim of the disease to taking responsibility for it?
Well, it was gradual. It was a journey. It took, lots of years. But once I realized it was, like you say, it wasn't, I didn't have to feel guilty about anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't ashamed of myself. I was just unaware. I was just unconscious about how the body works, how life works, how, our thoughts have anything to do with anything. So over time, I gradually, read this book or took this course and gradually learned this is how I created the reality, and that's over. That's my past. And thank God, I do tell people, I had cancer 3 times, and that was the greatest gift life gave me, because it woke me up. I was asleep. It woke me up. It said, okay, this is your moment. You can, first of all, you can just die, which is an option if you're not figuring out how to have fun on this planet. Or now that you're the pottery maker, you're molding the clay, you can create whatever you want. Now let's just kind of master this from going to, I'm a complete victim. I don't know how to do anything. I have nothing to do with anything. It's not, I didn't do it. It wasn't my job. It just happened to me. To, okay, I do create my own reality with my thoughts. What are the thoughts I want to think? What was it that I wanted out of my life? And how do I create that? Because then it's a life worth living for myself. This would make life fun for me. Mm-hmm. So it took a lot of years to, it's still going on. But like, okay, then how do I create, first of all, the thoughts that create the life I want? Mm-hmm. If I can't even perceive myself living the life I choose, then I'll never have it. I will always sabotage anything that gets close. And I have sabotaged myself many times when I got close to being able to live the life that I was choosing. Mm-hmm. And I would pull the rug out from under my feet because that was my habit. So right now in my life, I'm really, really learning, don't pull the rug out from under my own feet. And it takes a lot of staying awake when it's really uncomfortable, staying awake. But that, like you say, that's what makes life fun and exciting and worth living. It gets to be the only game in town. Like, wow, I'm waking up and I'm learning this and I'm learning that and I'm learning this, and now I have control over that and I can create that, and things are getting better. My relationships are getting better, and I'm letting go of people who are toxic, and I'm feeling great, and I'm loving my body, and I'm loving myself, and I'm forgiving myself for everything. And then it's fun to be alive. Yeah,
that becomes your new state. So it takes some diligence in the beginning to stay awake and pay attention. And I remember in the beginning, I'd get into these automatic spirals, usually negative, fear or anger, or some kind of over stress. And my motivation was, oh my God, I'm aging my body in this moment. And it's not even happening right now. It already happened and I'm processing it again and I'm aging my body. And so it was sort of vanity at first that grabbed my attention and said, nope, I'm going to see if I can shift this. And, over time I've learned a lot of different tools for doing that. But whatever it takes, or I'm creating more cancer, or I'm creating disease, or I'm affecting my kids, or whatever it is that inspires you to create that shift. And you said it can happen in a moment. It can happen in a heartbeat. And the more you do that, the more that becomes the habit. And so you creating an intensity of experience in a positive direction that replaces the negative imprinting or programming that happens to most of us. We have a negativity bias built in. It protects us from danger. But we're evolving, and those same dangers are more, imagined than they are real. So this is where we're heading, I think, with our consciousness and our awareness is realizing that we have this choice and we can reprogram. And thank God, as you said, that it is malleable. Our consciousness is malleable. Our brains are malleable. Our bodies are malleable. We can change things with a little bit of practice. And often we need, a little bit of support in that too.
Right.
So my hat's off to you, as you continue that journey, because in the time that I've known you, I've seen big changes too. And the top, there's no cap to the amount of positivity we can experience.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's, the third time I had cancer, I was 26. I just moved to Santa Fe, and it took me 6 months, and I healed it by myself, without radiation, without chemo, continuing to do what I had learned to do, continuing to learn new things of how to do that. And this was not even changing my nutrition yet, because I wasn't aware of a lot of things I know now about eating healthy and stuff. And now that I've got isogenics, I know every day I'm getting healthier and healthier. And yesterday I was thinking about, not only am I getting healthier, but I'm thinking now that I'm creating an environment in my body where I'm actually giving it the nutrients that it requires to be healthy and stay healthy and live longer, with a great quality of life. There's all these things that I'm never going to experience that I would have experienced had I not changed my life a couple of years ago by doing that. By eating healthier and paying attention to way more specific things about what it takes to give the body what it actually needs in the day when there's no nutrients in the soil and stuff like that. So, I think all the things that I am not going to get, all the experiences of, aging faster and dying younger and losing years of my life, which now that I almost died, I really, 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 really value life, and every day is such a huge gift that I'm so grateful for. And so I want it to last forever, because I know even if anything's going to cut my life short by one day, at the end, I'm going to be like, I want that one day. I want one more. How that's going to feel. And I am connected to that in, not a very fun way, but it's giving me a completely different life than I would have had.
Well, the difference is in how you're feeling. I talk to people and I say, science is going to extend our lifespan, maybe in yours and my lifetime, to 150, 100 and something. Or, I've heard 200. And we both have a mutual friend in Isogenics that's on a mission to create an immortal human. And most people are horrified by the idea of living longer, because they associate being on the planet longer with being diseased, or maybe they're miserable or unhappy and they're just sort of getting by. And so until you make that shift, the chronic state is more positive, it's pretty dreadful to think about living a long time.
I think even if they think, well, I could live a long time and be really healthy, I think most people are thinking, well, these are all the people I love right now. And if I live to be 200, they're all going to be dead because they don't think the way I think. So I'm just going to die with them so that I'm not lonely. I think that's probably one of the biggest.
Huh.
I don't need to take too good care of my body because my peeps aren't taking too good care of their bodies, and I want to hang out with them. And I don't want to be the only one, the last man standing, but I'm really healthy, but I'm lonely. As if out of how many billions of people are on the planet right now? It's like as if you're not going to love way more people all the time, every year, every day, meeting more people. There will always be people who, are growing at the same pace you are. No one will ever be alone, ever.
Right.
But I think that thought alone is stopping a lot of people from being healthier.
Interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
I think people who want to be healthy are in their families. That you don't really run into very often a whole family that's really healthy.
Uh-huh.
Like everyone's really into health in terms of the normal person.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's one person who's like, yeah, well, I'm not going down that same road with you guys, so they get super healthy, I don't think they necessarily want to be the only one living at the end of the game.
Gosh, I never thought about that. I just have sort of a curiosity about what's possible, but it is good to think about what the implications are for living longer too. And I related to that notion that a lot of people aren't focused on healthy. It's just a lot of people don't know what to do, and they don't know how to get there. And so I always say, with respect to taking that first step, one, you have to have a really strong why. You have to have an intention. You want to do this. And two, you have to have a belief in the possibility that you can. And sometimes some people need to hear that it's scientifically possible. Sometimes they need to see somebody else that's done it. Sometimes they need to hear from someone, their belief is strong that it's possible. And then the third, they usually need support in making that shift, because the tendency is to go back, like I said, homeostasis, to stay with where you are. And so I think as more and more people are inspired and they learn what's possible, and hopefully you and I can be inspiration for people to be healthy. And it doesn't mean they have to live forever. It's just while you're here, you might as well be as healthy and feel as good as possible.
And have some fun, enjoy it, and decide, like you're saying, we were talking about before, that there are people who actually believe and know and experience that they are going to die when they're ready to leave. They don't have to destroy the body to leave. So, if I was, 150 years old, and I'm like, well, I kind of pretty much did everything that I wanted to do, and I'm going to go now. I could go to sleep and just not wake up, because that's a choice too. So why destroy this amazing entity, this body that's been housing you and taking care of you so well since the day before you were born, since you were conceived? It's like, honor that body, take care of that body, worship that body. This is our temple. And then when we want to go, we'll go. And it doesn't have to be by destroying it or being cruel to it or putting ourselves through pain unnecessarily. Pain is no fun. Why choose pain? That isn't a way to grow or change. You don't need to do it that way. It's just a habit of thought, or you're taking on other people's thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether you believe that you choose or God chooses, however that happens, you're right. We need to take care of the temple that is our body. I watch people that are self-destructive, and we all have gone through things where we've not been kind to our bodies, where we've done things that we know will hurt it in some way. And what I appreciate is how resilient the body really is, how forgiving it is. And how when we do intend otherwise, how well it responds. And that gives me a lot of hope for people, especially people that are doing things. And part of it is that everybody wants to feel better. And some of the stuff that's out there in our environment that's so accessible, whether it's food or drugs or drinks or whatever, gives you that quick change of state.
Mm-hmm.
And so people's intentions are good generally, and then they kind of get caught up. They want to feel better. And again, it's them not really understanding how to do it in a different way, or maybe even having the patience to do it in a different way. But that's all possible. And, I want to continue to inspire people, not, again, we talk about this a lot, you can't motivate somebody from a negative place. I mean, my desire is to inspire people to feel better and to take steps with if they want to get my help or somebody else's help, but that they feel like something different is possible for them.
Yes. Hear, hear.
Yeah, I think that's what we're both all about.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And whenever people are really ready and they know they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. The timing is really important.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I always have fun with you. Thank you.
I so enjoy this conversation too. It just, it feels very heart-filled and grounded and exploring and adventurous too at the same time. So thanks, Shereen.
You're welcome. So how can people get a hold of you?
They can visit my website, Kristin Kurtz, KristinKurtz.com, KristinKurtz.com. They can send an inquiry there, find my contact information there.
Awesome. And if people want to if people want to contact me, they can email me at shereennoon@gmail.com, SHEREENNOON@gmail.com. And thank you for tuning into us and listening to us and caring about the things we care about. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.